Namaskaram. Welcome to day 84 of the SaveSoil journey. Hope you were able to catch the proceedings from Mumbai. Sadhguru did the event in Mumbai today, and it's just another week left for Sadhguru to arrive in Bangalore. Looking forward for the event. And for those of you who had the experience of attending these in-person events, if you had if you were able to volunteer, or if you were able to just participate along with your family and friends, it would be nice to hear from you. How was your experience just being a part of this event? Maybe it was your first time volunteering for such a event and taking care of the logistics, etc. So it'd be nice to hear from all of you about how your experience has been of doing this. So I just thought that today I'll cover about volunteering, because this is something which has been spoken about a lot in Isha. Sadhguru has been mentioning about this, that why volunteering is such an important part of Isha, and as a seeker, how you can benefit if if you can volunteer. So this is something I just thought I can cover in today's video. And to start with, what I can say is, from my experience, that I started volunteering in 2009. That was the time when I first, in 2008, when I did the first inner engineering program, first program with Isha. So at that point of time, I didn't even know what volunteering is, and it wasn't there in my mind that I should volunteer, or whatever else related to this. This is something which never occurred to me. And then when I did the first program with Isha, I saw that there were so many volunteers. I came to know that even the teacher who did the program, who conducted the program for us, she was also a volunteer. So it kind of, it just kind of struck me that how come, there are people like this in the world, where they're just doing this out of, just like a voluntary service. How is it that, they're just coming here and spending so much of their time and energy and effort, and doing it with so much dedication? And it kind of really, surprised me that how is it possible. And then the people over there, they told me, the volunteers, they said that they're not doing this like a work. They're doing this out of their joyfulness, their willingness to serve, to offer this to more people. And that surprised me even more, that how is it that these people, do they really don't have any work to do, that they are doing such a thing here? Or how is it that they have so much inspiration and motivation to do this apart from whatever else they are doing? It kind of really surprised me, that how is it possible that someone can take out time and do this so willingly. So this was just going on in my mind, and little did I know that in a few months time I would be volunteering full time at Isha. And that was when, in 2009, when I just, due to so many things which happened, which I'm not going to cover right now in this video, but just so many changes which happened, I just landed up at Isha as a full-time volunteer, and quitting my job. So I didn't know what's in store for me, and that such a thing I would be ever attempting to do in my life when I first did this program. But it just happened that due to many things, and I just ended up seeing how I can volunteer. And that was my first taste of volunteering, that offering myself to something without expecting anything in return. So that was my first taste of volunteering. And since then, for me, volunteering is something, it's whether or not this is a specific activity, this is something which has become a way of life. Because it is not about doing a particular act or something like that. It is something which I realized after volunteering for many years with Isha, that this is not about doing some activity, or this is not about doing something for someone and doing a favor for them. This is about becoming willing, becoming open, to everything what life has to offer. So this itself was the biggest change for me, because always I thought volunteering means doing some service, doing some charitable service, and offering money or offering, physical support or help or my time, my energy. So I just thought that it was about offering something, without expecting anything in return, where it is more of like, doing some donation or something for a charitable cause. That was what my thought process was about volunteering. And only when I started volunteering myself did I realize that I was so wrong, because this was not about me offering something to someone. It was actually benefiting me, because this is something which was helping me to become a little more open, become a little more willing, to become more open to life. Because the moment I started volunteering, I realized how many rigid structures were there within me, how much of unwillingness was there, how I had kind of set so many boundaries that I can do this, I can't do this, I like this, I don't like that, I can work with this person, but I cannot work with the other person. So, like this, so many things, boundaries I had set up within myself, and all these started slowly melting step by step when I started volunteering. So, I realized that it was not for someone else, it is something which is for me. And that's when I really realized that why Sadhguru is insisting so much on volunteering. Every time I used to, go for a program, they used to say, if you wish to volunteer, you can join us. If you do this, do this. Volunteering was always, mentioned. And I was wondering that why are they in such a desperate need to, just keep on speaking about volunteering all the time? Is it something where they want to extract something from us? Do they need something from us? And is it something which I'm going to get into something where I lose something, So always that fear was there, and because of which I didn't, didn't register as a volunteer for a long period of time, because I don't know what what will I have to give, and it was always that transaction was going on, thinking, what can I get from this, and this doesn't look like, I can get anything from this, because I have to spend my time, energy, everything, and get nothing in return. So that was how I always thought about volunteering. And only when I started volunteering, I realized that only if you keep this one calculation away from yourself, if you can just remove this one calculation, that what can I get from something, only then your life becomes effortless. Otherwise, this calculation is running in your head all the time. What can I get? What can I get? What can I get from this? And this single calculation doesn't allow us to experience life. So this I had heard in talks, I read in books, but I never experientially felt it. That how can this impact, someone like this? How can it really affect my life? So only when I started volunteering, I realized that when I just offered myself, when I just got involved in an activity and did it willingly, the way my experience of life was very different, and that is what I was missing. And then I realized why Sadhguru mentioned that if you just drop this one calculation, that what can I get, and if you just do whatever activity which you're doing as a volunteer, which is willingly. Volunteering means you are willing, you become a willing life. If you just do that, then suddenly you life opens up for you. So it has been the biggest gift which I have ever received from Sadhguru, of experiencing this. So there are so many people, millions of volunteers across the world who have felt this, and those who have been experiencing and continue to volunteer. If you see right now, more than 95% of the work which is being carried out at the Isha Foundation, you will see that it is run by volunteers. And these volunteers, it's, it doesn't matter. You will see most of them are young volunteers, people, in their 20s, 30s. And it's not that, they don't have any other work to do. They may be having so many other things to do. It may be their academics, it may be their studies, it can be their academics or studies, it can be their work, it can be their families, it could be so many things which they are managing. But in spite of that, they somehow see how they can contribute. And because this is a way for them to use this activity, whatever activity, volunteering activity which they are doing, to just become more open, just become more willing. And if that happens, then their whole life changes. So if you have been thinking like this, that by volunteering, what will I get? Am I going to lose something? And what am I going to gain? Is it a drain of my time and my energy and my resources? And this looks like a one-way transaction. So if you've been thinking like this and you've been hesitating to volunteer, I would encourage you that rather than just think it up in your head, you go and volunteer for a few weeks. Maybe it's an engineering program, you can just attend as a volunteer. Right now there are so many SaveSoil events happening. You can register as a volunteer and see how you can throw yourself into some activity. Initially, you may be resistant. You'll be thinking, okay, what if they give me this activity? Even earlier, I remember when I used to volunteer, I used to worry, what kind of activity will they give me if they put me in this particular thing? What if they ask me to clean the toilets? What if they ask me to mop the floor? I'm okay just doing this particular activity, maybe some system activity, but if they ask me to do something else, what will happen? So slowly all these things, calculations, it faded away, and then I became more and more willing. And to a certain point of time where I didn't even care what activity they put me in. I just said, you put me in whichever activity you want. My job is to just see how I can do it with 100% involvement, and that I will do. It doesn't matter which team you put me in, which department you put me in. If I don't know something, I'll try to learn. If not, I'll try to get someone else to help me. But I'll somehow figure out what to do. But the important thing is how I do the activity, and that is what the focus is in volunteering. Whether you're doing whatever you're doing willingly or not, if you're doing whatever you are doing willingly, then you're a volunteer. If you're doing it unwillingly, then even if you may not be getting anything in return, you may still be not a volunteer. So that is how it is. So it was not about you know uh, anything else. It was just about the willingness. So this is something which I realized. So I'd invite all of you to encourage to experience this. Please see if you can experience this, because this is something you should surely experience in your life. That what can it you know what is the kind of feeling which you can get? What is your experience when you just try to do something with complete willingness? And this is a wonderful tool given by our guru. It's not just with Isha. You will see there are so many organizations you can volunteer with. It's just that I feel that at Isha the atmosphere is so safe, because sometimes you feel that you may be exploited if you're doing something and you don't know what is happening with what. But here, the way it's structured, this is like a sadhana for one's growth. They can do the same program which they are doing by hiring people. It's very much possible. It's actually much more easier to do the same thing with hired people. But now when they attempt to do this with volunteers, it's much more challenging. But they're doing this, Sadhguru is doing this because this is not, he didn't set this up like an organization. He set this up in a way that this everything which we do in the organization, it'll help people in their ultimate well-being. So that's why in every part of Isha, wherever you go, whichever part of the world you go, volunteering will always be there, because this is the way which is like a fast forward method for people to break their limitations and grow. So please see how you can at least get a taste of this. We have been really fortunate that ever since I started Yogi Ray also, I always felt that even if I am doing this, it doesn't matter what I'm getting or what I'm not getting. At least the way I'm going to approach it, it'll always be like how I was like a volunteer, where I try to see how I can do this willingly and offer it in that particular way. And that's how we have been doing it since the last 5 years. And we have been really privileged that we have a few volunteers as well who are supporting us in the same way. These volunteers, they have just done some programs with us. Some of them, they have not even done any programs with us, but they were touched by how we were offering whatever we were offering, and they have joined us. And it's just a handful of volunteers who are actually running this whole thing, whatever we have been doing, whether it's posting on social media or on our groups, or editing videos, or photos. So many different activities which are into handling our inquiries. So we've been really fortunate. It's just a small team, but just the way they are offering themselves, it's really a privilege to be working with people like this, who keep who just seeing how they can offer themselves, to see how they can use every opportunity for their growth. It's something which is really wonderful. So it's been a fortune and privilege. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of them, and we would invite you that if you wish to You can also, let us know if you would like to volunteer. You can, if you wish to volunteer with us, we'll share a link in this description. You can fill that form, and if we have any requirements, we can also get in touch with you. Or you can volunteer with so many Isha activities which are happening on the ground and even online. So there are many ways which you can volunteer, or you can go to the Isha Yoga Center and volunteer there. So there are many ways in which you can volunteer. So please see how you can get involved, and we would love to hear your experience. For those of you who've been volunteering, how is your experience volunteering, and any particular experiences you'd like to share? So please do that. And also I'll share a poem which I had written after an intense volunteering experience at the Isha Yoga Center. So I'll even share that with you in the description or as an attachment on social. So that is something which I had penned down after a volunteering experience. So look forward to hear from all of you about your volunteering experience, and hope that you can experience this and benefit. Namaskaram.